The summer sweat from the 3-mile-high ice sheet had turned to a river now. They knew when and where the ice would crack. They had picked a beautiful vantage nook high in the Rocky Mountains. But knowing what is coming doesn't prepare one to see the great flood unleashed. I counted the portals out of which they proceed and wrote down all their outlets, of each individual star by itself, according to their number and their names, their courses, and their positions. Safe as well from the meteorites that began to arc across the sky. Not so safe they hadn't spread to the extremities of the earth to ensure survival, but Enoch had faith. He tucked away his book. They still had a long time before they'd have to pick tribes to follow, but he had a few hundred years of notes already. They all did, now that they were alone. He'd been thinking about his last trip up to Babel, just before the 144 left. Each of their families, unreproduced and ascended away, feels more poignant when you consider that is 12,000 parts out of 12,025 from your shared collective soul. He didn't doubt for a second that it was harder on the ones who left. When you lose something, it drives you nuts. When you lose everything, you just move on. Now the world was moving on and he was ready. But everything seemed so quiet now, he had to talk to himself not to get dizzy. As he watched the display unfold, it occurred to him that the Woolard was undergoing a reversion, and that reversion paralleled the one that led him to bind himself to this course. All who are in heaven know what is share. Enoch hummed to himself as the light show continued. Ah, to end the quest, to no longer feel compelled to explore, discover, or evolve. No need for any candles. He stepped up first to stay behind since he thought there'd be a rush. Their loss. Enoch looked up from his lofty vantage point, his heart throbbed with anticipatory fear. The sky, once a boundless expanse of cerulean blue, had transformed into an ominous canopy. The meteor's flaming tail streaked across the heavens, a cosmic harbinger streaking towards Earth. It was the image of Jormungandr, the mythic world serpent he would one day inscribe in the annals of Norse lore, poised at the precipice of Ragnarok's impending doom. The onslaught began, a torrential tempest, a spectacular ballet of fire and ice, a raw spectacle of the universe's unforgiving cruelty and awe-inspiring majesty. The meteor came in at a low angle like it had just barely been gripped by the Earth's gravity, in a weird fluke event, and looped around several times, wrapping the upper atmosphere in a band of fire. Fire in the sky, encircling the entire world. An image he would not soon forget in any incarnation. And then with a thunder like God's angriest shout, it exploded. The ice crystals within the meteor, vaporized now and super hot, found every fault line in the planet killer. And it blew into a billion pieces through the mountain's skeletal ridges and into the stilled heart of the world. Enoch and his fellows wrapped scarfs around their noses as the fine dust of rare earth metal settled toward the earth. The others urged him to come inside. Where would the shards fall? He told them God either wanted him to see or not, so they all stayed. The explosion had changed the course of the main chunk, twisting its path northward as it passed overhead and careened into the massive ice sheet. Flames danced over the celestial serpent scales, their fierce glow reflected in the river's roiling current that surged beneath the ice. Chaos unraveled. The ice roared as it splintered, releasing the pent-up waters unchained. Enoch could scarce comprehend the unfathomable force of nature's wrath. The torrent of water grew, a massive wave of unstoppable fury that ripped through the land, reshaping continents, erasing histories, and taking with it everything in its wake. It was Jormungandr's unhinging, the onset of a cataclysmic Ragnarok encased in ice and fire. In the tranquil aftermath, the ghostly whisper of the serpent's hiss echoed in Enoch's mind. Jormungandr had finally released its tail. The destruction of Ragnarok had come to pass. In the wake of the dreadful cataclysm, a hush settled on the world, the calm that follows the storm. First there was silence, the silence of rebirth. Then gradually the soft murmurs of life crept back, the restarting heartbeat in the world's chest. Ragnarok had passed, leaving in its trail a world irrevocably scarred, yet on the cusp of a new beginning. The universe had chosen to reset itself, and as he beheld the world's unmaking and the dawning of a renewed existence, Enoch could not help but be moved by the spectacle. With a spirit hardened against despair and kindled with renewed hope, he understood his purpose.